CBC News has obtained new information about a government tweet that sparked outrage last year. Environment Minister Catherine McKenna said in a post, Canada salutes Syria for joining the Paris Climate Agreement. It was quickly deleted, and McKenna said a mistake was made. So what happened? Who was responsible? Turns out this tweet was widely vetted before being posted. The CBC's Dean Beebe is here to walk us through the details and how he got them. Hey, Dean, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming in. So the tweet is posted, then deleted. What did you do to basically figure out what happened?
Well, we didn't really know what happened. It was last November, this tweet popped up, and it was praising Syria at a very bad time. Syria had just gassed its own people. Then it disappeared, and we didn't really know what went on there. And so after getting some inadequate answers, I just filed an access to information request the next day to get the inside scoop on what happened behind the scenes. And it took quite a while to get the results, not unusual with access to information. So in fact, it took about 11 months and way beyond the deadlines in the Act. But anyway, the package that came back to me was about 125 pages, and it showed that there were a lot of fingerprints on that tweet. There were at least 31 that I counted, public servants, named public servants and their titles, who had written that tweet, had vetted it, had spell checked it, had done a job on it. It did surprise me because it was tweets are pretty small, and I didn't expect a squad of public servants involved. But the other interesting thing was that the finished tweet had been sent to the minister's office, and her own staff, who are not named in the file, had vetted that as well. So, how did this get past them with no red flags being raised? So that kind of really surprised me.
Has anyone answered that question?
How it got past them? No one's really answered that question. Everyone fell asleep at the switch, I guess. Mm-hmm. And no one's really, the documents show no one's really taken the blame for it. But the other interesting twist on this is Lisa Raitt. Lisa Raitt, Deputy Leader, Tory MP, asked virtually the same question I asked under access to information, but she asked in the House in a very formal process where she submits a written question. She said, what are the names of the public servants who vetted this tweet? And she got a very innocuous answer almost right away that said, I'm the Environment Minister Catherine McKenna. I'm the minister. I took responsibility, and Syria's a bad actor, and we deleted it right away. End of story. And there it sat until my package came in to me, and I called Lisa Raitt and I said, they gave me a much better answer than they gave you. And she was actually a little bit angry because she's a parliamentarian. She should get as fulsome an answer, if not more, than I got as a journalist. So she has told me that she's going to raise a point of personal privilege with the Speaker, and that's where it stands now.
Interesting to see how that plays out. Thanks a lot, Dean.
You're
CBC's
welcome.
Dean Beebe. Let's get some reaction from the power panel. James, Andrew, Rob, and Catherine. James and Andrew, you were both ministers. Did it surprise you to hear that many people vetted this tweet? Andrew, I'll start with you.
Oh, there's such a difference between federal and provincial government. Mine would have gone through 2, maybe 3 people, plus Twitter wasn't really a thing back then. So I don't know. It's unfortunate to see this. I'm glad the minister owned up to it. But listening to the twists and turns on this thing, it was like some kind of Scooby-Doo mystery. Just all over the place.
James?
Well, look, when I was in government not that long ago, when Twitter, came on the scene, I remember formulating a tweet with one hand while, drinking a coffee in the other as I'm going up in an elevator. Like, it was no big deal, and all of a sudden we have 30 layers of bureaucracy to get a tweet out. I often think, if I was back in government now, what would my approach be to social media and Twitter? And Twitter specifically, Donald Trump, pushes out, a one-way conversation and blasts from time to time. But I almost think that, Twitter in particular has become more of a hindrance than it is of a use. I mean, I think my default setting would be to have the departmental tweets go out with stuff that's perfectly translated in French and English. And I frankly don't even know if I would have Twitter today because of the hassle, the factor that comes along with it, plus the trolls and the hate and the ugliness that a lot of people have complained about. So, it's kind of a dark corner that we've turned onto here, but it's the bureaucracy around these tweets within departments has gotten laughable to the point that Twitter has become just an ineffective use of people's time.
Catherine?
The real thing, though, that's got to kind of make you go, oh, is that all those people were involved, and it appears that nobody said, hey guys,
Like
Syria.
Yeah, it was a pretty obvious one.
Yeah, so the number in and of itself is pretty remarkable, and yes, it does make us all feel a little bit inadequate about how we prepare our tweets, as James said, with one hand, coffee in the other, but that nobody caught it too is a real ouch moment, I think.
I was going to make a Scooby-Doo joke in response to Andrew's comment about how we would have gotten away with it if not for you pesky kids and your dog. I agree. Good for Catherine, for Minister McKenna, for owning up to it and owning it. She is the minister. She's ultimately responsible. This is obviously embarrassing, and if the public knew how many people look at every press release that goes out. The only thing I'd say is it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about the tweets about Saudi Arabia. And not that the two are analogous, and clearly this was a screw-up. Somebody should have very early on said you can't tweet positive things about Syria in terms of their climate change. So this is not a defense of it. But why the next tweet? Are there lots of people who need to look at it beyond the translation, beyond all the other things? Because it is ultimately a form of communications. It is an official, that you are speaking on behalf of the government as much as if a minister goes and gives a speech or puts out a press release. And that's not a defense. You should be able to get out a tweet with like maybe 20, 23, 24. It shouldn't take 30, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have it that how did you guys tweet that? And well, because it's only 3 people who do this, and we pumped it out, and this is government messaging. So this is the ugly part of the sausage making.
I thought that it's a bit processy, but I thought the other interesting part of this, Andrew, was that Lisa Raitt asked an order paper question, which for people watching is sort of a formal way for MPs to ask of the government certain questions about anything that they're, anything they want an answer on, essentially, and asked the same question that Dean BBA tipped, and did not get the answer that he did. He got a much more fulsome answer. I think she told him that she intended to raise a point of privilege. I'm not 100% sure if that happened today, but that was kind of interesting to me too.
Yeah, I do think that is interesting. I'm not sure what the strategy the federal government's employing and the Liberals are employing for doing their written questions responses. I mean, it seems like it's very, very political. And, again, the response was, okay, fine, the minister owns up to it. I don't know why they wouldn't be a bit more, well, maybe I guess we do know. I mean, there's 3 people involved. Why would you want to admit that? But it probably was a bit of a surprise to the minister, too, in terms of how that process works. I do agree with Rob that one of the challenges we've got right now is that there is this move to kind of run government communications through Twitter, and I'm not sure that serves government all that well, regardless of what party's doing it. So I don't know quite how to resolve that. I like getting my news through Twitter. I follow a lot that way, but in terms of cleaning up the system, they've got to find certainly a more efficient way of doing it.
James, what do you think about the discrepancy between what Dean got and what Ms. Raitt got?
I long for the days of clarity, openness, and unfettered transparency that were the Harper years.
James wins the panel.
Okay, I don't think there's anything else left to say, so I'm just going to thank the power panel right there. Thanks to James Moore, Jen Gerson, Andrew Thompson, and Rob Silver.